This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am joined by a gentleman all the way from Chile today. I'm speaking to Carlos de Carlos from Viños Baettig. Baettig?
Yes, perfecto. Perfect.
Fantastic. I always get worried about
Perfect Swiss German.
Swiss German, there you go. Which brings me to the first point. For those people unfamiliar with your winery, would you mind giving us a potted history? Actually, first of all, tell us exactly where you are.
Yes. Well, I'm in Santiago de Chile at the moment.
Yes.
I'm based in the capital city of Santiago, but the winery is about 700, or the vineyard is 700 kilometers down to what in Argentina is called the Patagonia.
Yes,
in Chile, Chilean Patagonia start a little bit south, but this is the weather that we face. It's a very unique climate situation in that area, and we located ourselves in that part of the world because the family of my partner, Francisco Pettig,
yes,
and the family of my wife, they are both immigrants from Switzerland, from the
right.
German part of Switzerland. And they arrived in Chile by the end of 19th century, 19th century, yes. And they arrived in that area. So we decided to settle ourselves in that part of the world because two reasons. First, because climate change is affecting the central part of Chile,
yes,
and there is much less rain. And we wanted a place where we could do dry farming. And in that part of the world, we got enough rain to do dry farming. And also because we had our great-grandparents that arrived into the area. So it was nice to try to settle in an area where the grandparents arrived.
Now, both Francisco and yourself worked in the wine business beforehand, didn't you? Because you planted these vineyards in 2013, I believe.
Yes. Look, we are both friends for over 25 years, and we worked together for around 20 years in Viña Errázuriz, Senya, and Chadwick. Francisco as the technical director, and I was the commercial director.
I see.
So I was fortunate to work for this group, and I was based in Ireland for 5 years, in England for 5 years, and in China for 5 years.
Okay.
So we became very close friends with Francisco, and at a certain point of his career, he came to see me in London, and he said, "Hey, Carlos, I would be interested in doing my own wines." And I said, "Well, that would be wonderful, Francisco. You are one of the best, if not the best winemaker in Chile, so I would be very happy to buy your wines." And he said, No, Carlos, I need somebody to help me out with the commercials and the marketing side, because one of the big downsides of many projects in Chile and in South America in general has been the whole commercial impact of the wines. So we started working together in 2010, and we formed the company, we formed Viños Baettig, and in 2011, we started looking for the place, and it took us 2 years to find the place where we finally planted our vineyard that is called Viñedo Los Suizos, so Viñedo of the Swiss people, in honor to the immigrants, back in 2013.
And you chose to plant mainly French clones of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Why was that?
Yes, that was another point that we had big discussions, because of course Francisco is very known for his influence in Cabernet or Cabernet-based wines in Chile with Chadwick, Senya, Don Maximiano, and so on. But we love Burgundy varietals. We did a technical tour in Burgundy, and we visited some of the top people in Burgundy. And also Francisco was experimenting in the coastal area of Chile with Las Pizarras, Chardonnay and Pinot. So he saw the big potential of Chardonnay and Pinot in Chile. And we thought, if we go deeper in south, we are going to have even better things, because in the south of Chile, we got less radiation. And if you get less radiation, you get less skin, so thinner skin, and then as consequence, less alcohol potential, so fresher wines with more acidity. And also, we got some wonderful soils in the south of Chile that are a bit unexplored. So this is why we said, look, let's go for Pinot and Chardonnay, that are varieties that we love. They are not so much related to Chile as it is Cabernet or Carmener or even Merlot, but we are going to do something different, something unique in an area that is not so explored in Chile, because when we arrived to Traiguén and Malleco is the larger area, and yes, Traiguén is a sub-appellation of Malleco. When we arrived there were less than 40 hectares planted.
Wow.
So nothing, you know, and we bought 22 hectares and we planted 15.6. So we became the largest, and we planted on dry farming, you know, that was untold and unique at that time. So it was a very innovative project.
Now, you mentioned the soils. You have volcanic soils there, right?
Yes.
Now, how would you say volcanic soils impact the flavor profiles that one finds in your Chardonnays and Pinot Noirs? Because you were obviously ahead of your time, because today your Chardonnays and Pinot Noirs are widely seen as being the very best in Chile.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Look, I think there are several kinds of volcanic soils.
Yes. Yeah.
And what we find in Traiguén, and particularly in this plateau that we planted, because we are in a plateau in between two rivers, the river Quino and the river Traiguén. In this plateau, we have something that is called volcanic breccia. That is an Italian concept. They also have this kind of volcanic soils. And volcanic breccia is very particular because it's formed by two elements of volcanic eruption, you know, because this is extrusive volcanic. No, it's not intrusive. It's not from the bottom of the earth. It's extrusive. So it's the result of a volcanic explosion. And in this volcanic explosion, you got material that is reasonably new, maybe 1 to 2 million years, and then older material that could be 3, 4, 5 million years. So in this magma, you have the new part and you have the oldest part that becomes a bit yellowish color.
Mm-hmm.
And the root system, when planted, goes down looking for water, because it's very, very, very dry place, and gives very little water to the roots. So they go down looking for water, and they sort of break the new volcanic lava and sort of hug the old lava, this yellowish color lava or rocks, and this is where we believe we get a very particular style in our wines, a very particular I don't know, flavor, aromas in our wines. It's not only the climate thing, so what is upper the soil that is unique and different, but also lower in the root system is different. And also the fact that we planted in dry farming also creates something different.
Yes, I understand. Now, for the roots to be able to come down through and break down through these layers of the newer volcanic material, is that very friable material then? So the roots are able to bury down like that?
Yes, we have in the upper part a bit of clay.
Right.
And it's also very important because in that area of Chile, we have a sort of clay that is called trumao. And trumao is a clay that has a lot of water retention. It's called 3-1, so retains 3 times.
Yes.
But we didn't want to have trumao because we needed our vines to be stressed. So we went to this area, to this plateau that has a clay that is 1-to-1. So these 20 or 40 centimeters of clay, they retain very little water.
I see.
Enough for the plants to start moving down, but not much. And then after those 20 or 40 centimeters, depending on the part of the hill, lower is this volcanic rock. And the roots, we planted in different ways because we were doing a sort of exploration. This was a trial. Of course, we brought consultants from Burgundy. We brought friends from Chile to help us to map the property, but nobody has done that before. So we selected some rootstocks that help the roots to go down quicker, looking for water, because we didn't want the plants to die with no water. So we did some trials with no rootstock and some with rootstocks, and some of the rootstocks, they were finding water quicker than the other ones, and these are the ones that work better. Now, as we didn't know much of what was going to happen, now back in time, probably the decision should be putting water for the establishment, so 1 or 2 years, because you help out the property. Because what we did is some part of the property had drip irrigation for the establishment.
I see.
And that part grew much faster than the other part, because we didn't consider that the plants not only need to grow down, but also grow up. And the combination of not having enough water at the establishment and also the wind that we face in the upper part of a hillside made the plants to suffer a lot, the ones that were in drip irrigation.
It's almost like nursing a newborn child to help them along, right? And then you cut that.
That's exactly the concept that I use with people. Say, when you have a kid and you have to teach the kid how to walk, you just don't leave him alone. You help him out a little bit, and then you leave him to run. And for the plants, now moving backwards, what we should do was planting on drip irrigation the whole property, and then leave the property after 2 or 3 years, depending on the blocks, to be without water irrigation.
Now, how big is the property today, and what is your average annual production from this field?
Look, we have 22 hectares, as I mentioned to you, and we have 15.6 planted. So we have 6.6 of Chardonnay and 9 of Pinot. So we can complete the full property in time. So maybe instead of 15.6, we could reach, I don't know, 19, 18, 19, because we also have a water reservoir that we have for the control of frost.
Yep, I understand.
So we can plant maybe 16, 17 hectares, so a couple of more hectares. But our project is a project that starts and finishes in our property. So we want to do estate-based wines, all of them. So that's the scope of the project. We are going to sell what the vineyard can produce. In terms of quantities, as we had a big portion of the property that was dry farmed since the very beginning, we had a lot, very low yielding, but very low. Right. We were aiming for 5 or 6 tons per hectare. That is still very low for any
for Chile.
For Chile, but we have got less than half of that so far. And well, it's painful, but we are learning how to manage the property. And also, one of the biggest problems of the area is the frost, because we are in a very south area, very limit area. And even though we are on top of a plateau that we are less affected than the people on the bottom, we are still affected. And we have every 2 or 3 vintages, we have a big frost, and has been damaging a lot the yielding. So this is why we decided to put a frost control. Because if we want the project to move on, we need to have frost control for the long term. Because what we see in terms of climate change is that even though the coastal areas in Chile, in California, because the influence of the ocean are less affected than the inland areas like Bordeaux or Cahors or even Galicia. I was in Galicia in January, because they are more inland, they are more affected, and the ocean has a moderator effect, but still we got episodes or more extreme heat and more extreme cold or frost. And this is what we see that is a danger for the future of agriculture. So in case of of Traiguén, we don't have extreme warms because we are very much in the south, but we have some extreme colds that we never saw before. So thinking in the medium long, we have to make sure that we control the frost, because that is going to be the biggest danger for us to move forward and get the quantities that we need.
I hear you. Now, seeing as you are in the location that you are, I'm guessing that disease pressure, particularly on the Pinot, is not really that much of a problem.